Hi, welcome to String Theory with Anthony Douglas. I am your host, Anthony Douglas. And at any rate, we are still working on this Fender four-necker steel guitar. It does not have any pedals. It is what is known as a console steel. I know it looks very much like this switchboard to the Starship Enterprise, but Hawaiians use these guitars, country performers use these guitars a lot in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So, and maybe even into the 70s. So these guitars got used quite a bit. Now, what I need to do is replace this 12 string, because the last time we were working on this guitar, I pulled behind the slide to give a pedal steel effect, and bang, there went the string. Now some guitars you can do that on, and it's really, they're kind of almost designed to do that. You can manipulate stuff like that. I don't know about the Fender String Master. Do not know what I can or cannot get away with, because I just haven't spent that much time with this guitar. So this is all newer to me here, and I don't know, maybe let me see what I can do to try to make this thing work. We were also discussing Hank Williams quite a bit, and, the Drifting Cowboy Band, and the Encounters, some of the things that they may have gone through. And I want to let you guys know that I did not travel with Hank Williams. Nobody did. So we really don't know a lot about what happened in actuality with that group. What's urban legend? What is real? You can go by some accounts from certain individuals that worked with him. Ray Price would be a great person to hear about some of that stuff. I would be interested in knowing from Ray Price's side, what was going on those road tours, what his position was, whether he was playing rhythm guitar and doing some of the singing in Hank Williams' band, and then when Hank Williams couldn't make it, then he would just put Ray Price in there and let Ray Price go to town. So there's some of that I do kind of wonder about, and that type of thing. So you never know. You just never know how these things, unless you're there and you're in it with them, you don't really know for sure what's going on So I'm just kind of, I guess what I'm trying to do is just let you guys, me as a picker, let you guys see me kind of running my hand around the coffee cup of this thing that, you know, probably a lot of people just, none of us really know for sure what happened with it. But it would be very great to hear some accounts from Ray Price, Jerry Rivers, the fiddle player, what he had to say about the touring. And that type of thing. So that would be very, very great to be able to have that happen like that, and have them give an account, you know, so that we can hear it kind of from the horse's mouth a little bit, and that type of thing. But you know, we can get some ideas, I think, on what may have happened, you know, just by going, well, what happened in some of your road tours, Tony, that led you to this, you know, what you were doing here, or this or that, you know. So there is, you know, to try to shed some light on all of this. And I know from personal experience how costly it is to move an entire band across the United States. It's just unbelievable. Even when when I was doing it back in the, you know, one of the bands that I was touring with, I mean, I'm trying to remember how much it was. I can tell you many thousands of dollars to move the band across the United States. It was not, it was a huge undertaking. And so if you didn't have money coming in from your gigs and, you know, different things of this nature, it was extremely hard to move that band. So with that being said, you know, the difficulty of it, very, very interesting to look at it from that point of view. I do know that I don't think they were getting a lot of money. I believe I heard a story that said Hank may have given a lot of money away, you know, and some of that. So there could have been some of that going on. I mean, we're not all the best managers of money, that's for sure. And artists with money, that's funny. So, it's good to think about a lot of this stuff. And I think it also helps you avoid problems in the future when you really take a look at that situation. Now, going into it maybe a little more in depth, just stories I've heard on documentaries or whatever, or from people just, you know, that I've worked with or whatever. One of the interesting things was his mother. His mother was helping his career, kind of maybe managing it a bit. And I don't know if you've ever had family members working, trying to manage the group you're in. I think you'll be able to understand how crazy it can be, you know, if you've got family members involved in this. I don't want to sound nasty when I say this. I really don't, because I like family and that type of thing and respect it. But it's really not professional to have your mother booking your band, even if they're good at it, or your wife doing it. And Hank Williams' wife, Audrey, was kind of in a management position of him. You know, I mean, I even heard his steel guitar player, Don Helms, come out and said, you know, you got to have somebody that believes in you. You've got to have somebody that understands these things, because if you don't have a backer, if you don't have somebody that understands the business or whatever, it's going to be very difficult to do that, to perform out there, to, you know, if you don't have anybody believing in you that can get you contacts, you know. I mean, I've had situations like that where I've had certain family members or whatever helping me out with certain things, and, you know, it's just not a good thing for the most part. I'm not going to say in every situation it would be bad, but certainly in Hank's life and in my life it didn't work out. So that I see as a kind of a no-no. His woman was wanting to sing and was performing with him. This was pre-1952. I mean, how does that work out? You know, you're the superstar, people are coming to hear you, and you've got some non-professional family member that is taking over your band. But they're the ones that got you there too. They're the ones that believed in you. They're the ones that invested a lot of time in you. That has to be a really hard position to be in, I would think. Well, I would think that would just kind of suck, really. And then his mother, it just seemed like the mother and the ex-wife, probably there could have been some tension there, you know, in the managing of Hank's life. Man, I need glasses. Hopefully that works. Patience. But yeah, getting back into that lifestyle of Hank, that thing that he was going through, having his mother manage him and then having Audrey manage him, I would think that would have, you know, there would have been some tension there for sure. But now Hank's in a divorce, you know, the family member she's no longer there managing his career. She's no longer there helping him, and he's having to go off and do stuff on his own. And that can be difficult. That can be really kind of not easy to do. I know when I left one of my ex-wives, it wasn't, the easiest thing on earth, but I pulled things together and started to try to get my career back going again, because you have to. You can't just let it all go down. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep dealing with it, and you have to keep going in a great positive direction. And when I think about it, and I think about Hank Williams on the road, did he have another manager? Was there no one managing his career at this point? When he, in those latter times of 52, obviously he was getting a lot of airplay, so they were loving him on the stations and different things like that. But yeah, family members can be very controlling. It can work out to be just a real terrible situation. And on one hand, Audrey was what got him there, and then on the other hand, she's showing up to gigs wanting to sing and to share that spotlight with him, and nobody thought she was a very good singer. I heard Don Helms come out and talk about that. So there was a point where I was back in, I think it was Missouri, the Steel Guitar Convention, the Scotty's International Steel Guitar Convention. I had a room booked there, and I had met a few artists. I'd been there before, and it just so happened that Billy Robinson, the house steel guitar player for the Grand Ole Opry in the 40s, was there. And I was rooming real close to him. My room was like, that in the hotel was pretty close, so I got to hang out with him quite a bit and ask him questions about what was happening when Hank was coming into the Opry, and he was the steel guitar player backing him up. So I never got as far as to talk to Don Helms about these things, but I did get to talk to to Billy Robinson, the house steel guitar player at the Grand Ole Opry. And he said Hank did not bring his band there. According to him, now I don't know if he never used his band there or not. There may have been a time that he had his band come in, but according to Billy Robinson, and you can look Billy Robinson up, steel guitar player, on YouTube. My gosh, the guy plays crazy good on a single neck lap steel 10 string. It's just crazy how good he is. And he was great then, and that's when I busted my string and I pulled behind the bar here, those techniques are things that I learned from Billy, hanging out with him and watching how he plays, and getting some tips from Billy, and this type of thing. And but it was really interesting. He showed me one of his, I believe it was a record album, And he shows it. He goes, well, there's Hank Williams right there, and here's me, and he's just like a kid, you know, with a lap steel on the on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. Wow, you know, what a legend for me to get to meet and hang out with. And you know, there's been some people that have really, you know, taken the time with me, and Billy was one of those people. And you know, so I got to hear, he says Hank would come in and I would back him up. I would learn all the the songs like Your Cheating Heart. You know, I don't think it actually, that was recorded much later. I'm not sure he did that or not, but for sure he was doing songs like Cold Heart, stuff like that, and you know, making that all work out. And that's cool, you know. And in the same, at that same show one year, I got to hang out with Speedy West, another legendary steel guitar player that I loved. I listened to him a lot when I was a kid. And he played one of these, and did a lot of you know, that banging on the steel with the harmonics that I like to do on these things. And you know, I learned from him, and then pretty soon he, you know, I'm a kid, and he's walking up and he's saying, oh, you know, he really liked my performance, and he was very supportive and very sweet. And I remember going to dinner with him, and I thought, my gosh, I can't even believe I'm having dinner with Speedy West. You know, you just read about these people, kind of like you read about Hank Williams, and you read about Don Helms, and you read about Jerry Rivers, and then all of a sudden you're having dinner with these people, and you're going, so that's very special. I wish that could have happened with Jerry Rivers. I wish that could have happened with Don Helms. I really would have liked to have sat down with the legendary Don Helms steel guitar player and really go through the tour schedule and where he was and all of this, and really what was happening. You know, maybe there's some stuff out online that you or I can, you know, see about what Don Helms is saying about some of this stuff, or there might be a book that Don put out or something. You know, you never know. But it is interesting. The last year of Hank Williams' life, he got remarried to, I believe, a lady by the name of Billie Jean. I think that was her name. And oh wow, she was really pretty. And so he remarried, and it looked like his career, he was, you know, getting his career going again. And even though that Opry situation was difficult, he was still out there trying. So you got to give these guys credit, you know, they get out there, and they're only human, and they really try hard. Well, until the next video, be good, and we'll see you. Hit like and subscribe. Thanks.